I knew we'd get there.
Yay.
Hey, my friend. Happy belated birthday.
Thank you.
My present's not in yet.
Oh, it's okay.
It's done, though.
Oh.
I made it.
Fancy.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to another week of Case Files with Kat.
And to Ashley.
And I'm not doing a serial killer. What?
Or a cult. Is it a cult, though?
No.
Oh,
no,
my
it's not a cult
God.
either. No.
I mean,
it is
zone. Are we in the triangle? What's going on?
It is like a bad man, though.
Oh, okay.
It is like a bad person.
Oh.
I guess hello. Welcome to Case Files with Kat and Ashley. Welcome to Cashley.
Yes.
Cheers. We are drinking
Cheers.
oh
man, your glass is way bigger than mine.
But I thought I gave it. Okay. So this is hers. We are drinking some Blue Chair rum, but it is the pina colada
It is so
flavored.
good.
It feels like pina coladas.
I thought you had the bottle sitting on the table. I was like,
No,
what?
no, just keep filling it.
Guys, I am so sleep deprived, like literally sleep deprived, and now I'm drinking, so you'll have to excuse me.
Okay, it's gonna get lit. Get you that shirt for Christmas. Most likely to get lit. Most likely to spike the eggnog.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. So this isn't a huge story, but I will. Do you have anything to say? You want to talk about your birthday?
It was great. I had a good time. Ate a lot of, I was gonna say I ate a lot of meat, but I meant I ate a lot of went to the steakhouse, one of those Brazilian steakhouses. It was good. Went to Renfest.
Did you eat a turkey leg?
Yes, I did.
Did you really?
Yes, I always do it. That's really the only place I eat them. They're gigantic.
I mean, that is kind of the
lot
only
of
place.
food when I go to Renfest. I go to Renfest to eat food.
There is a lot of good food.
Yeah.
A lot of desserts that I like there, though.
I like the chocolate dipped cheesecake.
Yeah, I mean, there's just lots of.
And they have a Euro pizza, so it's like a Euro, but in pizza form.
Like a pizza pocket.
No, it's like a pizza, but they put like the lamb meat and all of the stuff that would be inside of it on. And then they bake it in a wood oven, and it's so good.
I'll have to try that next time. I'm not a huge lamb eater, but I think in a pizza form,
it's really good.
Yeah.
And then I'm here, living life, living the dream.
Staying up till
like
6 a.m.
Yeah.
I know. She had a lot of coffee today, though. Okay, so after my last story, I had to do something a little lighter.
Ooh, okay.
Yep. I mean, no one dies. So it's automatically lighter.
Are we on the right podcast? It's light. No one dies.
No one dies.
It's not a serial killer.
Right. So that makes it lighter, right?
Okay,
Just that?
it.
Okay. I'm
Sure.
not saying like there isn't like a bad man.
Sure.
Right? So, okay. But you're welcome. All right. But tonight I'm going to tell you really honestly one of the wackiest stories I've heard. And this is the one where I mentioned it to Jason and he's like, oh yeah, if you've never seen that interview, you have to see it. So like he knew about it before I did.
That is truly surprising, honestly.
Truly, because it's actually also really, really current.
I just feel like he's not into anything that we ever talk about. So for him to be like, oh, you should watch this.
He acts like he's not, but we watched like the murder thing. We did like all of that. He'll watch if it's good. If it's a good made for TV, whatever experience, he'll watch it. So yeah, but this one all by himself, he knew about.
Oh,
I didn't even. Right. Okay. So tonight I'm going to be talking about a con man. I know, right? Totally different. He's from Rhode Island, and his name is Nicholas Alahverdian. Have you heard of him?
No, I have not.
Okay.
I don't think so.
Nicholas Alahverdian, also known as Nicholas Rossi.
No.
Still nothing. Also known as Arthur Brown.
Is this the Catch Me As You Can guy?
Nope.
Oh, then no.
Arthur Knight.
Nope.
Arthur Knight, though. Seriously.
Seriously, though.
All right.
Maybe once you start talking about it.
I'm just kidding. Because I didn't know about it.
Excuse me.
No, I didn't know about it. Okay, so let's start with his early life. Shall we? We shall. All right. So Nicholas was born Nicholas Alahverdian. That was his birth name on July 11th, 1987.
Oh, wow. So young.
We're older than you.
He's a year younger than me.
Oh, is he? Oh, yeah.
I was born in 86.
All right. So he was born in Rhode Island to mother Diana and father Jack. And he had two younger siblings, Joseph and Deandra. And they were both born in 1989 and 1990, respectively.
Okay.
All right. The oldest of three. So he eventually, though, his father eventually left, and we'll get into that. He was in and out of mental hospitals. He went to jail for fraud and selling coke.
Oh, nice.
So awesome start.
Great start.
But Nicholas eventually took the surname of his stepfather, David Rossi, and he would say that the kids never had a father, so he really kind of stepped into that role.
Oh, okay.
Like willingly.
Yeah.
Absolutely willingly. Jack and his wife, Diana, divorced in 1990, and Jack died in 2021. So he's around for a long time. So David Rossi, however, was an Engelbert Humperdinck impersonator.
I don't know what the hell any of that means of what you just said.
Do you not know who Engelbert Humperdinck is?
I've never heard that phrase before in my life.
Okay, so that's your homework, just to find out.
I don't even know how to spell that.
Engelbert is with Engelbert. Humperdinck, exactly how it sounds.
Okay.
But you can look that up later. No, look it up later.
Okay.
So he was an impersonator. He was at a bar. Diana worked at the bar. And it was at a nightclub.
Oh, okay, I know who that is. Sorry.
Okay. So this was back in 1994. So they soon thereafter started dating. She warned him. She said that her children were out of control. And David was like, you know what? Let's go for a family picnic.
Seems legit.
Seems legit. So this comes from the Daily Mail. Quote, but David quickly regretted his insistence.
Also seems legit. Sounds like me.
Please, no, let's go hang out. Fuck, I made a mistake. He said, quote, they destroyed my house, he told the Mail from his home in the U.S. Ripping things off the walls, throwing things out of the refrigerator. My first impression of Nicholas, was that he had mental problems. He just got worse with every day. He would urinate in his brother's bed just to get his brother in trouble, jump out of windows and run away in his underwear. Diana said, this is why you don't get involved, but I stuck with it. I felt they needed a father. What a sweet man.
Oh, yeah.
Right? I mean,
he did stick with it?
He did. Oh. He stayed, right?
Be outie.
Damn, this is...
You can just have this house. I'm out.
Not my monkeys, not my circus. So Nicholas was eventually diagnosed with ADHD, PTSD, depression, hyperactivity, narcissistic personality disorder, and he and his brother tormented their sister, according to David, who was scathing about his stepson. So Nicholas Rossi was repeatedly in and out of mental institutions. He did take his stepfather's name, but was kicked out for allegedly assaulting other children, urinating on beds, and wiping his shit on the walls.
Where the hell is the supervision?
So this is at the mental institution. Right. I mean...
He's just walking in other mental patients' rooms peeing on their beds?
It could have been his roommate. Or
I think you had roommates.
Oh,
I'm just saying, I don't know.
They had roommates in Girl Interrupted.
Oh, that's true. I don't know.
Right?
I don't know.
I don't fucking know.
Someone tell us.
Someone tell us, please.
We did no research. I'm just kidding. I don't know. I am in, no.
That isn't what I wanted to know.
I am interested to know though. Go on. Sorry. Totally sidetracked.
I've had too much to drink. All right. So when he was at home, David had to install 5 locks on his bedroom door to stop him from running away. 5.
I just let him go.
He was still a child. So David also claims that he finally snapped during a trip to Disney World in Florida.
Oh, I could see that.
When Rossi was 12 and started hitting his mother.
Oh my goodness.
Started not like flailing arms hitting her, but fucking hitting her.
Oh, wow.
Right?
Yeah.
So this is David's quote. I hit him so hard. I broke his nose. I broke his jaw. Was I proud of it? No. But 9 years of hell, I could take no more. So that, I mean,
yeah,
he's like, oh my, David had said that he used to beat his grandmother, that Nicholas used to beat his grandmother, beat his mother. He's who we talk about. That is like, you can't help these people.
Yeah.
You can't put them in jail, I guess, you know, like,
yeah.
So what is that? A sociopath, psychopath? We try to look up the difference. It was very difficult because I don't know.
Yeah.
Did he have a moral compass or did he not? I'm like, oh, hi socks. So David and Diana broke up around a month after the Florida debacle, and Nicholas was then discharged to a foster home from a treatment program. So they sent him to a treatment program for a month, and then he went into a foster care. After being discharged from the treatment program, he briefly went back to his home, but was removed and placed into the care of the Department of Children, Youth, and Families, or DCYF, as a result of creating conflict within his home. Like, he shouldn't have been sent home, honestly. By 14, Nicholas got a job as a legislative page in the Rhode Island State House because a family court judge thought he was brilliant. And could...
He smacked me in the face with it a minute ago.
Like, seriously, Socks is like...
Then he tried to drink my drink.
He's having a private moment with the microphone. You can't hear it, but his butt is up against the microphone right now. Just...
It's like, are you talking about me?
I know.
I'm going to come to your microphone.
No, you can't. There's all these things. Stay away. Okay. So this judge who thought he was so brilliant thought, hey, you know what? I'm going to put him working as a legislative page in the state house because maybe he could turn his life around. Maybe he can see that he's good at something and can do this.
Yeah.
Right. So while working there, he ingratiated himself with all of the lawmakers. And then as time went on, he learned more and more. One of them was able to, one of them actually said he was a lawyer and by trade.
Yeah.
Because he studied and learned. He memorized laws, you know, he could really have conversations.
Yeah. This is really the star of the show here, guys. I know you can't see anything that this cat's doing, but it's just great.
So he got to be really, really good at his job, and he learned so much, and he was able to speak out against the conditions in the group homes and the foster care system that he was going through, because he was claiming that he was suffering abuse and neglect, and that he started to make a name for himself in this job because he was like, hey, this is my issue. These are the problems that I'm having. We should be making changes. And he started to campaign to improve these facilities that he was in, which who isn't going to agree with a kid who's living in these conditions, right? Like, he started to, people were reeled in. He spoke their language. He was making a very fucking valid point. And so they're not going to argue with him, right?
Yeah.
So he was like, he wanted to improve the conditions for kids who were living in the state's care. There's not a more honorable cause. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just like, these kids don't have a choice. We should be taking care of them. So many of these people started to take pity on him, and they started to befriend this kid who, honestly, they saw him as having like all of the cards stacked against him. He claimed to be abused in all ways, and while he was in care, but he still managed to show up every day and do this job and be a great page, right? So one of those that got reeled in was a politician named Brian Coogan. He was a state rep. He really thought highly of Nicholas, thought he was incredibly bright and seemingly driven. And that was important. One day he sees Nicholas and he starts running up to him, and he's like freaking out. And he's like, someone needs to adopt me day. He's aging out of the system. They're about to let him go from the system, and he's got nowhere to go. And so Brian Coogan is like, oh my God, I felt really sorry for him. So he went to see about adopting him formally, like formally adopting him. So he went to this judge. He was only a teenager, but this family court judge, Chief Judge Jeremiah, warned him from doing so. Coogan said that Jeremiah predicted that Alahverdian would, this is a quote, will try to undermine you and turn your family upside down.
Oh, wow.
I know. He said something to the effect that since he's a minor, he cannot disclose what's in his file, but his file was thick. And many of the accusations Nicholas was making about the care he received that was done to him was him doing to others. It wasn't his caregivers or other children. It was him doing all of the abusing. And that was in that file. So needless to say, Coogan dodged a bullet. No. Talking to Socks over here. So when he turned 18, Alahverdian was released from state's custody, and an older couple in Ohio took him in a year later, acting as de facto foster parents and supporting him over the next few years. Like, he didn't have anybody. He kind of got on their good side, and they were like, sure, we'll help you. Yeah. He was later accused of taking out 22 credit cards in their name, and running debts of up to $200,000, according to the Providence Journal.
I feel like they should be allowed to disclose if you're trying to adopt a child. Like, I feel like you, as the person who's going to adopt, you should be able to know what they've been, you know what I mean? Like, what's in their file.
He wasn't like up for adoption though. He was a ward of the state. Yeah. He was
Gotcha.
he was in the system, but they weren't putting him out there. Gotcha. Right. So I kind of feel like they were keeping him away from, So it was in Ohio that Alahverdian committed the crime that would years later seal his fate. Boom, boom, boom. So meet Samantha. She is using a pseudonym to protect her identity. Again, this is all fairly recent. So this all is, he's younger than you. So, this is all pretty recent. So Samantha says she met Nicholas online when she was a sophomore in college in Massachusetts, a few weeks shy of turning 19. And they were both from Providence, Rhode Island, in the same age. So it was sort of like, hey, we got something in common. So this was 2006, and he was going by the name Nicholas Rossi. So no, he's not Alahverdian anymore. Okay. Everything seemed perfect. He was super gentlemanly, very well spoken. Obviously, super kind, everything like that. He was fun to talk to. She said, she told the Daily Beast, I know that everything that he did was incredibly scripted and out of a playbook. She can say that now looking back. Yeah. Like, he did everything by the book. Right. So once he accidentally, and this is in quotes, forwarded her an email that happened to be a copy of his apparent acceptance letter to Harvard University. Now, he never went to Harvard. Yeah. He took a satellite class. One of those like extended learning, we can all do that. You don't have to be accepted into Harvard to do that. You can take a class at Yale right now if you want. I did during the pandemic. It doesn't mean anything, right? It's not like you went to Yale, it doesn't matter. So he was just trying to impress her. So this comes from the Daily Beast article. The two arranged to meet in person. Alahverdian Nicholas took a train and met Samantha, and Samantha met him at the station. He greeted her with the most forceful kiss she'd ever experienced. I don't know this person at all, really, and he just came on very, very strong. They went out for dinner at a restaurant before heading back to Samantha's dorm to watch the movie Garden State. There, things took a turn for the worse. He kept pressuring me for sex, saying things like, oh, I just spent so long on the train, just like guilting me, basically. And I was just trying to play it off, Samantha says. I said no, I refused. I was like, I don't want to do this. And he wouldn't stop. He wouldn't let it go. It got to the point where I was sick of hearing it she remembers. And then I very specifically remember he threatened me. He said something like, "You're going to regret it if you don't." I was like, I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. But I don't want to find out what that means. Alahverdian climbed on top of her, Samantha says, and raped her. She felt her brain go to a different place, unable to process the trauma and fear, and the rest of the night was a blur. The next morning, she hurried Alahverdian out of the dorm, desperate to get rid of him. She agreed to drop him off in Providence on her way home to visit family. They stopped at Dunkin' Donuts drive-thru. I remember thinking, how fucked up is it that I'm buying my rapist breakfast right now? In the days after the rape, Samantha felt like a zombie living in a haze. When she got back to her dorm, she threw out everything that he had touched, the pillows, the bedding, the cup he drank from, even the movie they'd watched. Samantha didn't report the attack to police. She says the culture around sexual assault in 2006 was different from our current post-Me Too era. There was an attitude of, you invited him into your room, so you must have asked for it, Samantha says. Still, Samantha says she wrote him a message on Facebook saying, "You raped me. It's not okay," and then blocked him. A few weeks later, Samantha was in Providence on a weekend and she ran into him in a public place. He looked at me. We locked eyes and he said, "You're not even going to say hi to me?" She recalls. She ran in the opposite direction. I found a bathroom and puked my brains out because it was that upsetting to me. Samantha's friends worried for her well-being, and when she confided what had happened, they took her to the school counselor. That was the beginning of 5 years of therapy for Samantha, who says it's been hard to recover. It's not just the fact that this happened, but it bleeds into everything else, she says. How do I have a relationship with another human? How do I trust another human?
Man.
But that, like, how fucked up is it that I bought my rapist breakfast?
Yeah.
I made my rapist breakfast the morning after I was raped. How fucked up is that?
Yeah.
Like, you can't. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Like, why would I do that? Why would she do that? Why would I do that?
Yeah.
You know, like, you're in this, like,
You go to a whole different place. Like
you're in
survival mode.
Like, you just want to get out of this, whatever this situation is right now, you want to get out of it.
Yeah.
And so you're just like, ugh.
For me, it was like denial. Like, I just wanted to pretend like things were normal. You know what I mean?
And I guess that would have been what I would normally have done. Yeah. Let me just pretend it's not real.
Yeah.
So what would I normally do? Okay. And I remember, like, that explanation of it, like, you're just trying for it to be over. You want it to be over. So let me just continue on my day.
Yeah.
Let me just continue. And so, like, that was like, woof, that hit. So in 2008, Nicholas met a woman, Mary Grabinski, through MySpace. Remember MySpace?
Oh, I love MySpace. It's still around.
Remember you could change the wall and the music.
I miss having the top 8 put people in their place. I'm just kidding.
You'd change it. Like, I don't like her today. So in 2008, she met him. He met this woman, Mary Grabinski, on MySpace. She agreed to meet him after he messaged her saying he was looking for a new friend because he was new to the area.
Sure.
God, we were so trusting. So they had lunch. She brought a friend. They were on a college campus. They brought a friend, and he was so intelligent and charismatic and funny and easy to talk to. She was like, "Look, I have a boyfriend." He was like, "That's okay. I'm actually just looking for a friend." She's like, "Okay, cool. Like, you're taking the, like, I'm not interested in you thing pretty well. And so I'm going to bring my friend." And they all got along. And so she was heading to class. He was heading to class. And so I was like, okay, well, let's walk together. She felt comfortable with it. They get into the basement. They get into the stairway, into the basement. And then he pressed her up against the wall and started, is that door open?
No, but my question is, if they were walking to class, how did they end up in the basement?
Because in the college buildings, it's not like a school. It's not like you go into a different building and then sometimes the classes are in the basement.
Okay, well, my college never had classes in the basement, so I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's why I was
plus
very
East Coast. Plus East Coast. Everything's the basement.
I'm from the East Coast.
Oh yeah, you're from the South.
Okay, I just was confused on how they got from lunch to the basement. But okay, that makes sense. Okay,
so they go down. They're in the basement. It's not like, I don't know, the Texas house.
I'm with you now.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't realize that was the thing.
So he pressed her up against the wall and just starts masturbating. When she protested, he said, "I'm almost done. Don't be a bitch."
I'm trying to take you very seriously right now, but your cat is chasing
his tail.
I've never seen a cat chase its tail before.
He's so crazy right now. God, you're really ruining the moment right now.
This is serious socks.
So
I just wanted people to know I'm not laughing at the story. I'm laughing at this cat.
God. So he ends up raping her. Then he ejaculates onto the wall.
So after he then raped her?
Yeah, so he's masturbating. And he's like, "Come on!" So he rapes her, then ejaculates into the wall. Someone actually came by, saw these two people, and she's just frozen in fear. And he's like, "Oh, these two people are just fucking around." Didn't even just turned around and walked away. Didn't go, "Are you okay?" She's just like, "Oh God." You know? And so he said, she said Nicholas later then apologized and told her he couldn't help it because she was so beautiful, but don't tell anybody. But she made her police report. She had to take a test. Right after he raped her, she went and took a test. It was a test day. And then she's sitting there going, "What the fuck just happened?" And then after class, he was waiting for her. And he said, "I couldn't help it. You're just so beautiful, but don't fucking tell anybody." And she's like, "Uh-huh." And she went to the campus police.
I'm honestly surprised he let her out of his sight.
So
but
later
good for her.
I know, good for her, right? Later that year, he was convicted of public indecency and sexual imposition for the incident and was required to be registered as a sex offender. So thank goodness for her.
Wow.
I know. So silver lining, right? He had his DNA. And
I'm just impressed that they actually charged him.
Well, yeah. Yeah, you're right. But still they were like, "Okay, you're a sex offender. Bye."
Yeah.
"You're not in jail. Bye."
Yeah.
"You just have to register as a sex offender." Not that that's not bad.
Yeah.
But the silver lining was that the DNA and the fingerprints are on file, but they just let him go.
Yeah.
What? Because just having to register is enough to deter you from doing it again? I'm not really sure about that. Anyway, so, God, underpunished. Rapes, underpunished. Grr. Okay, so this comes from the Daily Beast again. In November 2008, he was in Utah, trawling the internet to meet women. He went all over the place. According to documents released by the Salt Lake County District Attorney, Alahverdian met a 26-year-old woman online who is identified only as MS in the documents, and they dated for 2 months. MS told investigators that Nicholas was nice and seemed to be smart, university educated, and interesting, but he was also manipulative, had no job, and convinced her to lend him money that he did not pay back. He said he wanted to marry her. That December, MS said Alahverdian locked her in the bedroom, forced himself on top of her, and raped her. Utah authorities now say Alahverdian also raped his 21-year-old former girlfriend in Orem, Utah in the same year. He allegedly lured the woman, who has not been named by authorities, back to his apartment, promising to repay the money he owed her. Do you see a pattern here? After the alleged rape, she says that he told her she was, quote, mentally unstable and too emotional to deal with. Wow. In 2009, Alahverdian returned to Rhode Island, where over the next 2 years, he reinvented himself as an advocate for children in the foster care system, lobbying politicians and attending fundraisers and galas. He was everywhere: the governor's office, the Senate, the House, anywhere there were politicians. Nick was there, former Representative Coogan told an NBC podcast. So in 2011, Nicholas dropped the name Rossi because now everything is attached to that name, and went back to using his birth name, Alahverdian. I haven't changed it too much because it's too much. Yeah. So Alahverdian. So I guess it's too many bad things attached to Rossi. Alahverdian now. So this is again from the Daily Beast. While he championed vulnerable children in his public life, Alahverdian continued to abuse women in private. Between 2010 and 2011, 4 different women filed complaints against him. 4.
And he was a registered sex offender. Nothing happened.
He must not have been. But that was under Rossi. He was Alahverdian now.
You would think they would have a system that would tell you people's names. Jeez.
So in one instance, a woman alleged that he threw her to the floor and beat her after he became incensed that her baby son wouldn't stop crying. The woman was Alahverdian's first wife, whom he married only 1 week previously, according to the Providence Journal. The woman's roommate told police he had heard her screaming for help. He was arrested but refused to cooperate. The police officers carried him downstairs to their car and pepper sprayed him in the face. Alahverdian pleaded no contest to simple domestic assault. The marriage soon ended, the newspaper reported. Undeterred by his legal issues, Alahverdian continued to pursue his academic ambitions.
This makes me really worry about the people in the networking arena I'm in, because it's like he was hanging out with politicians just like a normal person, and meanwhile doing all this crazy nonsense. Mm-hmm. I'm just going to start really staring at people.
Like, what are you doing? What are you doing?
What do you do in your free time? Who is in your trunk right now?
Who's in your trunk right now?
Just like at all of the luncheons, just looking around.
Okay, sidebar. Totally sidebar.
Yes.
Have you watched Squid Game?
Have I watched what?
Squid Game.
Like the reality show?
The reality show.
I haven't watched it yet, no. I saw it.
So the kids wanted to watch it.
Right.
And
naturally. Parent of the year.
I know. So I was like, no. And Jason's like, but I'm sure it's fine. It's not real,
it's fine.
Right? It's not like they're not really dying. And I was like, okay, let's just watch an episode. So we watched it over the holiday. And I was like, no way. Because if anything, I want to protect my children from seeing what people are really like. This is like why I don't let them watch true crime.
Yeah.
This is the same thing. Because some of these people, they might be serial killers later.
Yeah.
I guarantee it. Some of them were
I feel like anyone
bad people
voluntarily going into a reality show made after the Squid Games, probably insane.
Like, they're fake dying for $10,000. Each person's $10,000. I don't care about them.
Yeah.
I need to get to that $4.5 million. What the hell?
Yeah.
Just hearing these people talk, and I'm like, oh no, that person's going to kill somebody later in life.
Yeah.
Oh no, that person has some serious issues. That person has serious issues. They need a hug. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on with them. And I'm like,
Yeah.
So people are, I think I watch too much true crime.
People do crazy things when money becomes involved.
Right? People kill their spouses for the money.
Yeah.
Like, what? Crazy. I was like, we don't let them watch true crime. They're not watching Squid Game. So I said, okay. So I'm also just going to express the anger and the frustration and like the that this man continued to be let off. How many times have you now heard me talk about his run-ins with the police? And they're just like, bye.
Yeah.
Have fun, kid. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
like seriously, he got a slap on the wrist. He got just nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing. And he continues to rape and beat and lie. And how much more does it have to escalate? Does he have to hit a kid? Does he have to rape a kid? What has to be the next step for these women's fears to be taken seriously? Like, what What needs to happen? Why does it need to escalate when his pattern is so obvious?
Yeah.
Right? Anyway, okay. Back to my story. Okay. So remember Mary? She was the girl that was raped at the community college who walked to the basement.
Yeah.
Okay. So they were at Sinclair Community College. And in April 2013, Nicholas tried to sue Sinclair Community College, which is in Ohio, for making, quote, serious, life-altering false accusations. That's the quote. He claimed he was deprived of a jury trial, but a judge, Thomas Rose, dismissed the suit on August 12th, 2013. He also sued Mary, accusing her of libel because she and her boyfriend wrote some posts on Facebook that was like, this guy's fucking crazy. And so that was the libel. Yeah. And that court case resulted in 2014 when his claim was found to be without merit. That got resolved. But she still had to fork out a shit ton of money to deal with all that. So she's like, are you kidding me? You raped me and now I have to defend myself against your bullshit?
Yeah.
That's crazy. Bonkers. It's bonkers what this world's going on. So the audacity. So also that year, the schmuck wrote an essay called My Personal 9/11.
Wow.
In which he named and blamed Mary for ruining his, quote, goals and aspirations, comparing the victim's actions to the September 11th attacks. And if that's not just gross.
He had to have only been 12 when 9/11 happened.
That was his personal 9/11. I mean,
all right.
What a idiot. Yeah. Okay. So now after this, his exact movements are sort of lost after the civil case. They're not 100% known. But by 2015, he was once again living with his former foster parents, this time in Utah. In that year, Alahverdian met Catherine Heckendorn at a Mormon singles event. So he became Mormon. And a few months later, they were married. And Heckendorn moved.
Excuse me, did you say a few months later?
Mm-hmm. Did you not hear the earlier stories? This is his pattern.
Yeah.
I love you. Let's get married. We're married. Now I'm going to abuse you. This is his. Give me all your money. He finds them.
Yeah.
He knows exactly who he's going for. So the day after they got married is when he started beating her. And she said, the day after we got married, he hit me. She told the newspaper. Then it got worse and worse with the control, putting boundaries on what I could do, how I was supposed to dress, all of that. So again, from the Daily Beast. In their basement, Heckendorn found Alahverdian's handwritten journals, which listed details of women he had been watching. The diaries included details of the women's college schedules and their likes and dislikes. Holy shit. Alahverdian verbally and physically abused her throughout the 5 months of their marriage, Heckendorn said. He also borrowed $52,000 from her.
Damn.
And did he pay it back? No, fuck no.
I mean, I was just thinking, damn, I wish I had $52,000.
I mean, just
even
laying
lend
around
to someone.
Probably her whole
like responsible
retirement.
Adults or something.
In May, she might have been rich. In May 2016, the couple divorced and the judge ordered Alahverdian to repay the money. He never did. She told. Yeah, no. The next year, so this is 2017, Alahverdian used OkCupid to connect with Michelle Manier, a food blogger living in Essex, United Kingdom. So in June 2017, he flew to the UK to meet her, and she told the Sunday Mail he ended up moving into her home for 5 weeks. Hey, you should come and visit me. Let's meet in person. Oh, you're living here now. Psycho. So from the moment, this is a quote, from the moment he walked in, he psychologically and emotionally wore me down, Manier told the newspaper. Within days, he was talking about getting married and doing calculations about how long it would take for him to get his residency. within days. Hi, we met online and now you're here visiting and oh, you're moving here now. Oh, we're getting married? What the hell?
What the hell?
What the hell? Alahverdian raped her, she says, and spent 3,600 pounds of her savings. In July of 2017, Munir changed her locks following advice from the police. She told the newspaper, and Alahverdian threatened to sue her, leaving her in fear. But unbeknownst to him, the law was catching up to him.
Sue her for what?
That's just what he would say.
Yeah.
And people were like, "Oh shit, that sounds serious." I don't know. Like, you know, I mean,
Yeah.
if you don't know, you don't know. That scares you. Why
Yeah.
doesn't that scare people? You know what I mean? Like, of course it does. So, in the state of Utah, received a grant. To test backlogged rape kits.
Nice.
Yes. So, see, the law is catching up. Some of which had sat in storage for over a decade, and one of those kits was taken after a 2008 rape in Orem, Utah. The test matched a name in the database, Nicholas Rossi, also known as Nicholas Alahverdian. Bum, bum, bum. So they began to build a case against him. By then, he was back in Rhode Island, but he failed to register as a sex offender. So they had that on him. And that was a requirement from Ohio, right? So he was placed on the state's most wanted list. So police were actively looking for him at that point. So go. Yes. Come on, please. By 2019, the FBI joined the hunt because now we're multi-state, international. This is a big deal.
Yeah.
They wanted to talk to him about wire fraud charges. And the U.S. Marshals were also contacting lawmakers who had once known him in Rhode Island about his location. And a sealed arrest warrant was issued for Nicholas Rossi / Nicholas Alahverdian on September 2020. Now we're almost up to date now.
Yeah.
Now we're almost right. Okay. And this is when it was announced that Nicholas was dying.
Really dying, or he said he was dying?
Shit. Girl, please. Come on, what you think? Okay, so now the law's catching up with you and you're dying all of a sudden? Right. So he called Brian Coogan, who was, if you remember, the lawmaker from Rhode Island, and he was like, "Oh, I'm dying. I have lymphoma, Hodgkin's lymphoma or non-Hodgkin's. I can't remember which one." And he was like, "I know you. You're not dying. You're acting like you're dying because the authorities are looking for you." And that's a quote. But it didn't stop there. So Nicholas started preparing for his, in air quotes, untimely death, right? So he put out press releases. Oh, yeah.
Who cares?
Everybody. Like the Kid Wonder, who had been advocating for children's welfare in the foster care system, right? I mean, like, that's a story.
Yeah.
Right? And then we're like, oh, Nicholas Alahverdian is dying. So that when he died, that was a big deal, right? So on February 29th, 2020, an obituary appeared online that he had died at the age of 32. They spoke about him on the floor of the Rhode Island State House. They talked about him in the news. And he had written all about himself. And they were like, "Oh, this is an amazing kid. He came from nothing and he became this champion for children and blah, 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 blah." Right. And so like, this is all over Rhode Island, and they had no idea what was really happening in this man's life. This is from his obituary. His last words were, "Fear not, and run toward the bliss of the sun," the obituary read. At the time of his passing, the room was filled with the sounds of the end credits for the 1997 film Contact by composer Alan Silvestri.
A very extra obituary.
A film and score which held special meaning for Mr. Alahverdian. I mean, oh my God.
I think I didn't ever think about writing just random news articles about myself and sending them out, but I think I'm going to start.
I mean, just, get people ready.
Yeah.
Ready for...
Just like Every week, submit a new obituary.
Because people may not know what to write about me.
Yeah.
So you might as well write it. Yeah. Like, oh, I know I'm dying. Let me.
Yeah, but I'm just going to appoint myself all kinds of titles. Like where he wrote the thing about being, a champion for kids and whatever else.
But he wasn't he? He was actually getting shit done, right? He was actually getting shit done. Anyway, so several months after Alahverdian's reported death, Father Bernard Healy, a priest at Our Lady of Mercy Church in East Greenwich, received a request for a funeral mass from a woman claiming to be Alahverdian's widow. Shortly after arrangements were made, Father Healy was contacted by the state police detective Connor O'Donnell, who said, yo, cancel it. Dude's not dead. He's a fugitive from justice. Like, he's not real. He's a fugitive from justice. So Father Healy later described the woman this is in quotes, the woman in quotes, he spoke to sounded like Hyacinth Bouquet from the British sitcom Keeping Up Appearances.
I love that show, just by the way.
Did you know who I was talking about?
Keeping It, yes. I love that show.
With a very high-pitched English woman's accent. The police told him that the caller was probably Alahverdian using a voice disguiser. So I didn't know the show. So I had to go and look for it.
The show is hilarious.
What? So I can't believe you know the show.
Oh,
that's
I've
really
watched
funny.
every episode of Keeping It with Appearances. I love British shows.
It's really funny. Hold on. So this is Mr. and
Mrs. Richard Bouquet. We have a reservation.
What was the name again, please?
Bouquet.
That's spelled B-U-C-K-E-T.
Oh, bucket. Oh, yes, we have a bucket.
Yeah.
Pronounced bouquet, dear.
So that's what the man was like. It sounded so fake.
Yeah.
Like, hello, I am the widow. It's like you sound like an old woman.
Yeah.
It's not, we're obviously not a 32-year-old's wife.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, just he didn't know how to do that accent very well. Anyway, so in July of 2020, Rhode Island State Police investigated the authenticity of Alahverdian's said death. Nobody believed it. I mean, that was just right away. No conclusion had been reached by 2021. So they started researching it July 2020. By January 2021, still nothing. But the investigation was triggered because people were making allegations that he was still alive, coupled with this warrant that had come out that like he failed to register as a sex offender. So not only are people going, I think this guy's still alive, but he's also dodging this new warrant. So there's these things that are going, something doesn't seem right, right? He also had issues with Ohio and with Utah. So there's just, it's mounting. Things are starting to stack up because he wasn't put in fucking jail.
Yeah.
If they just put him in jail, damn it. People also started to notice that somebody was trying to change the Wikipedia page on him. They kept trying to change the picture on the Wikipedia page. They kept trying to change his story on Wikipedia, and people were like, that's not Nicholas Alahverdian. He tried to change it to somebody completely different. So he was really trying to keep his face out of it, but it was too late. So no one was buying this BS. So it was found out later that he had actually emigrated from the US to the UK some years earlier. And the woman that was claiming to be his wife, that sounded like Mrs. Bouquet, said it was for security reasons. And she wouldn't go into it anymore.
Of course.
Right. So, but 1 month before Nick Alahverdian died, quote unquote, a man called Nicholas Brown was looking for work online. Boom, boom, boom. And so this is
So
from
creative.
Huh?
He's so creative with his names.
He's not. So this is from the Daily Beast. In January 2020, Canadian TV host and producer Nafsika Antipas was looking for someone to help her with marketing for her A&E show Plant Based with Nafsika. Have you heard of her? No. She connected with Nicholas Brown, a freelancer on Upwork. Do you know Upwork?
Yes.
I've
gotten jobs from Upwork.
Okay, right. So Brown was Alahverdian's newest identity. So when they got on the phone, she said Nick seemed smart and interested. He said he was Harvard educated and worked on a TV project with Gordon Ramsay. None of that's true. She thought his voice sounded strange with a pronounced stutter. He said he was Irish, but he spoke with an English accent. His ratings were good, so Antipas hired him. It was the beginning of a financial and personal nightmare. So 4 months in, Antipas still hadn't seen any evidence of his work. She decided it was time to end the business relationship. She already had paid him $40,000 for work he had not delivered. You are doing it wrong, is what I'm saying.
I just wish my customers or clients would pay me $40,000 in advance.
You gotta ask. I know, in advance.
If I asked, they would be like, fuck you.
In advance. That's crazy. That's when he came back with a list of what he would do to me if I didn't pay what he believed I owed him, she said. You have no clue what you're dealing with, he wrote in a message to her, shared with the Daily Beast. Settle or your company and brand will be destroyed. End of story. So he demanded an entire year's salary. He set up a website called Nafsika Antipas as a fraud and sent her screenshots of it. He spent a lot of time building the thing that she didn't want.
Yeah.
Antipas tried to report Alahverdian to police in the UK, but was told they couldn't help her. So she called the crime hotline in Montreal, Canada, and the police told her to speak to the UK authorities. She was told he was Irish, so she called police in Dublin. They told her to call Canada. She felt like law enforcement was just giving her the running around. In desperation, she hired a private detective in Dublin to search for Nicholas Brown. He told her no such person existed. You're dealing with a con man. Dun, dun, dun. Bonkers, all of it. So they had they taken her seriously, though, all of this would have been like squashed. We would have been like, oh, there he is. We found him, but they didn't. They could have shut this dude down.
Yeah.
But it took a little longer than she had hoped, but it did happen. So on December 13th, 2021, a man who checked himself in as Arthur Knight.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not even, come on. An English dude, Arthur Knight. Come on. King Arthur, Knight of the Round Table. Anyway, so he was on a ventilator in the Glasgow hospital, seriously ill with COVID-19. His wife of 2 years, Miranda, sat with him. So Scottish police had been working with the hospital staff to identify the sick man with his many tattoos. His arms had...
Oh, so they didn't believe his name was Arthur.
They couldn't find him. Well, they gave the name and then it was like, well, he doesn't have any real information. There's no insurance. Like, what?
Yeah, gotcha.
Right? So he had all these tattoos. So they start doing some research and... he had a coat of arms with open books in each quarter. He had surrounded by a St. George's cross and a single angel's wing on his arms and stuff. But they were telling him, look, Arthur Knight does not exist. And they're like, there's the man who's on a ventilator. Who is he?
Yeah.
Right. And who is his wife? Like, this is all really, really weird. So they found out that Knight's real name was Nicholas Rossi, also known as Nicholas Alahverdian. And so they arrested him that winter day under an international warrant on behalf of investigators in Utah. Sweet. So David Levitt, who is the Utah County attorney, told the BBC, "Our victim in Utah has been suffering now for all these 13 years. Our office is grateful for the significant interagency collaboration of law enforcement to bring this suspect to justice." But he was immediately, as soon as he woke up, he was like, "It's not me. He's denying the charges," right? He's insisting to all who would listen that he was the victim of mistaken identity. He claimed he was an Irish orphan who had never set foot in the United States. And he had his wife, Miranda Knight. So he took his wife's last name, who he married in February of 2020. He gave numerous interviews to the press, often wearing like a 3-piece suit. He had gained a considerable amount of weight. He was a smaller dude and he gained a considerable amount of weight. But he had this like 3-piece suit, the pocket square, the little round glasses. Practically, he probably should have done that. But he also had this oxygen mask to obscure. So he had his glasses, this oxygen mask like this. So you couldn't really see his face.
Yeah.
And technically, he was in the hospital for COVID.
Yeah.
He needed help.
Yeah.
You know, like he was on a ventilator. But he was vehemently denying all of the charges that were being. So he told "This is a vicious lie," he told a reporter from Scotland's STV News. And many of the reporters that were talking, because he would really talk to anybody.
Yeah.
They asked about his tattoos, but he would only do this. He'd only roll up to his elbow. "See, no tattoos, no tattoos." But it's like, okay, but why don't you roll up? We're wondering about this area, but he would never roll up his sleeve past his elbow, ever. It's like, you know what? You could put all of this to rest if you just lift your sleeve up.
Yeah.
And he would never do it. "I just don't want to do that." So in August of 2022, a reporter from Sky News Scotland who was interviewing him and Miranda Knight in their Glasgow apartment, they even FaceTimed the Rhode Island lawmaker, Brian Coogan. She was like, "You know what? Why don't we just call Brian Coogan?" So she held up the phone so he could see this man in question. And Coogan identified him as Alahverdian and even said, "Look, he's got a scar beside his right eye." And the reporter went, confirmed it. Like, yep, he has a scar on the right eye. Coogan further stated that Alahverdian had tattoos on the biceps of a barcode and a bird wing, but Arthur Knight, Brown, Alahverdian did not want to lift up his sleeve past his elbow. So it's like, look, you could clear all this up.
Yeah.
If you don't have that, then you don't have that. And then that's when the call was ended abruptly. But he was like, "Hey, Nick, how you doing?" And he was like, "I don't know who you are." So he just pretended like he didn't know him. He's like, "Man, I know you." David Rossi, his stepfather, was like, "That's my Nicky. There's my son right there. That's my Nicky." Claimed him as his dad. Claimed him as his son. That's crazy. Yeah. But like, yeah, that's him. That's exactly who he is. Like, he can pretend all he wants, but that's who he is.
Yeah.
So Arthur Knight / Nicholas Alahverdian had court appearances and a public persona, and it just started to become really unhinged. He hired and then fired defense attorneys all over the place. He publicly accused the Utah State's attorney, David Levitt, the county attorney, accused him of engaging in satanic child abuse. So, I mean, just grasping for straws here. He refused to provide any DNA samples to Scottish authorities. So, I mean, you're not clearing your name, dude. You know what I mean?
I feel like you're making it worse.
But the farce would not go on forever. In July of 22, Knight was once again back in the hospital where he started to abuse the hospital staff. He was verbally abusive. At one point, he leapt out of the bed and ran at a nurse and a consultant who were caring for him, both of whom fled the room. He was arrested for that, and they fingerprinted him.
Nice.
Boom. Those fingerprints match those of Nicholas Alahverdian taken all those years ago after the Mary rape that happened in Ohio. Thank you, Mary. Thank you. Thank you. So as the court met to decide his true identity, he was denied bail, by the way, on that. Arthur Knight argued that his extensive tattoos, so while he was in that hospital during that time, they finally got a shot of his arm past his elbow. And they're like, so they took pictures of it. So they confirmed those are the same tattoos that Nicholas Alahverdian had. It was the coat of arms and the wing and the whole, all of it. It's all there. And so his response to that was, while he was in a coma, a healthcare worker named Patrick tried to frame him and put those tattoos on his arm while he was in a coma. And they brought in the fingerprints from America, I guess, to...
Why would a random healthcare worker want to frame him for something?
I don't know. It's never his fault.
Yeah.
Right.
It's just a bizarre excuse.
It's never his fault. Anyway, so the court was like, you're fucking being extradited. Like, this is bullshit. You're as much of a liar as you are just evasive and manipulative, right? Bam, bye. So the court ruling came last August. It rubber stamped by the Scottish government so that he can be extradited to the U.S. For the alleged rape. The alleged rape of a woman in 2008. So that's for that crime. But he also faces other complaints and alleged domestic violence in Rhode Island and Ohio. So even if the Utah thing doesn't go through, they're trying to extradite him in those two states as well. But in the last month, in October, so this is, August of 2023, he was told he could be extradited. Was it 2022 or 2023? Fuck, I don't know. Now I don't know. It was either this August or last August. This last August or the August before. But in October 5th, Nicholas Alahverdian filed an appeal for that extradition. And so the court needed to decide on that. And that should happen any day now. That's going to happen any day now. They
haven't decided on that
It's
yet?
only been like 4 weeks.
I feel like that's a long time to make a decision.
Well, it's slow. It's slow sometimes. But I mean, I would even guess before the end of the year that we'll know. Yeah. So we're going to know whether or not, and then he'll be extradited, and then so that's going to be a big deal. But this is the interview on Dateline, and I'm only going to play a couple of minutes of it, a minute or so of it. But it was by Andrew Canning. It was an interview, and this is the interview that made my jaw drop. This is the interview that Jason had seen on social media or something, just this clip. She's in a remote interview with them here. So let me get you that.
We were once a normal family, but thanks to the media, our lives have been interrupted. And we'd like privacy, and I would like to go back to being a normal husband. But I can't, because I can't breathe, I can't walk. People say that's an act. Let me try to stand up. Let me try to stand up. Exactly.
Because you can't fake standing up.
She's like, he does this whole and his whole hands go up. Okay.
What do you say to someone who believes that you are Nicholas Alahverdian?
I am not, Andrea. I am not Nicholas Alahverdian. I do not know how to make this clearer.
What do you say to people who say these are crocodile tears? He's putting on a show. This is all an act.
Oh, Andrea, no, that's a low blow. That's a right low blow.
Is he trying to sound Irish or English or what is going on?
I guess it's English, but he's like, there's no water coming out of his eyes. It's just like, and this, I talk like this, and if you hear her say just really, really quickly, hold on.
This is all an act.
Hold on.
Oh, it sounds like he's laughing.
It's fake. Oh, what does she say? Oh, Nico?
Yeah.
Hold on.
Show this is all an act. Oh,
Andrea,
No,
that's a low blow. That's a right low blow.
There's no tears. He's just like this. His eyes are squinting, and it's wild. You can't see the whole interview, but there are clips of it. There's the whole episode is not available anymore.
Yeah.
Except in podcast form, so you can hear it. It's definitely worth listening to. And so, yeah. So the Dateline episode is called Dead Man Talking. It came out this past April. The podcast is available to listen to. It's definitely worth a listen. It's bonkers. You just can't see the video. I had to go and find just that clip. And it's he tries to stand up, and you can tell it's all just an act. So we're waiting on what happens next when the extradition happens, but now you guys are all caught up on that. So when it happens, we'll make sure to post it on our Facebook and Instagram to say, hey, look what's happening.
Yeah.
He's finally coming back. But this is just, it's bonkers what he went from just being like a simple con man to now being like a fugitive running from the law everywhere and like across the pond into Scotland, 3 states looking to bring you back. I mean, like it could have been stopped so many times, and it just wasn't. And so like for me, I want all of us women, people who are dating, I guess, just like if someone is moving that fast, run. Just run. Like
Trust your gut.
Trust your gut. Like, oh, this is really a lot. Like this person's really, and I know the feeling that some of these women went through. Like, I'm just trying to survive this night.
Yeah.
I know that feeling. But what's so sad is our need to be loved. That makes me so sad, because you're like, this person seems so awesome, and
well, there's so many people that also just don't want to report it, because you see what happens. The woman is always lying. It's always her fault. She always did something.
And
they
he
bring
sued
up
her.
Their history.
He sued her.
Yeah. I mean, it's just.
What if she
it's
didn't
such
have
a
the
process.
money? What if she didn't have the money?
Yeah.
What if she couldn't defend herself?
Yeah.
What would have happened? And it's just like, and he's suing her for what? Because she said he was crazy for, and then he actually tried to bring a suit against her by showing a fake MySpace post. And
she wouldn't know what she posted.
And the judge was like, fucking dismissed. But she had to hire a lawyer for that.
Yeah.
Where was he getting the money? Like.
Probably other women.
Other women. Yeah. And it just, he was vindictive. And that's another reason why women don't come forward. But if only some of them were taken more seriously, especially like that the woman that had the show, Well,
like, and it's scary sometimes, because as you know, when you leave, that's when you're most likely to be killed.
Mm-hmm. The one he had married, who kept her locked up and things like that. She did eventually escape, but I mean, he beat her. He beat her.
Yeah.
And she finally got out after he stole all this money from her. And he actually, she finally got in to be able to take her stuff out of the apartment. And he left a gun sitting on the couch, just waiting for her. And she was like, I knew that he did that just to scare me. And it worked. It scared her.
The fact that this man was not arrested and is still not here being tried is just fucking mind blowing.
And he's like in a wheelchair with the fucking oxygen mask on now, and just
he is.
Yeah. Just crazy times. Okay, so what are you doing next week?
That's
my story.
I'm doing a serial killer.
What?
I know.
It's like topsy-turvy world.
I know. I saw it and I was like, I have to do this. I actually kind of thought we had talked about this one before, and I was like, no, it's not on the list. We haven't talked about it. So
we always think that.
I know.
Are you sure?
I think we just mention people in passing.
Totally.
But yeah, it's gonna be a serial killer.
Bum, bum, bum. Topsy-turvy.
Yes.
I know. All right, everybody. Well, until next week.
Yeah.
All right.
See something, say something.
See something, say something. Don't be afraid to reach out to us if you need us. We'll get you hooked up with resources and get you help if you need it. And, just trust your gut. Trust your gut.
Yeah.
Don't worry about being nice. Sometimes just trust your gut. All right. We'll see you next week. Bye.